Yeah. Uh, Hello, good evening to all parents and students. Thank you for joining us today for this session with Brock University. In this session, we will be discussing in detail about the application procedures, available courses, application fee waivers, and any scholarships that will be especially for students entitled with intelligent partners. Today, we will be having four panelists. One would be Ms. Ranjana Pandi. She is the counselor for Canada at Intelligent Partners. We also have Ms. Chantal from Brock University and a student ambassador from Brock University, Mr. Amar. Before we start this session, I would like to run you through some ways in which you can ask us questions. We have a Q&A chat box enabled for everyone to send in any questions that you may have. In addition, we also have an option called raise your hand. This would notify us and then we would be able to unmute you to speak directly with the representative. We would be having a 10 to 15 minutes Q&A session at the end of the session to clear all your doubts. Now I may allow Ms. Ranjana to introduce herself and about Intelligent Partners.
Thank you so much, Niyati. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in the session today and being a part of this webinar. I'm the counselor for Canada, and I will just run you through on all the services that we provide at Intelligent Partners, and then I would be handing over the webinar to Ms. Chantal from Brock University. So, yeah. So I would be talking about the services that we provide now. The first service that I would be talking is about the Zoom sessions that we are providing online. So we are having online Zoom sessions, which will have the entire counseling, which I'll be talking in detail about it. And now we are also having the virtual internships, which we have for students who would, of course, would like to build in their profile and add into their CV. This would definitely be an added advantage. So that is something about virtual internship. Psychometric test, again, students who are currently undecided, not sure on what they would want to do, and looking for the career options that they can look at. So students can also look or take a psychometric test to be sure before they start with their university applications. The third thing which I would be talking about is the essay writing. Of course, essay and personal statements are very important when we look at university applications. So we at Intelligent Partners are here to help students with by assisting with their essays. So that is something. I would also like to talk about the summer schools and the programs, which is very important for students before they start with their university applications, wherein they can, of course, have an online summer programs at their home or wherever they are, and start their summer school. And also when they apply for the university, they would be eligible for certain credits based on their GPA, and once after they finish their program and when they apply to the university. So that is something about our online summer school programs with various universities. And currently at this moment, considering the current scenario, we also are assisting and helping students with the live online interactive tutorials, which would be conducted or organized by the top-notch organizations for various curriculums. So any students looking for online tuitions, please feel free to contact us. We would be happy to help you with. So now I'll be in detail talking about the online Zoom counseling sessions and what all we do in the online session. So majorly we would be helping you with on selecting the right course and relevant program for you, identifying the right university and shortlisting universities for you, helping you throughout the application process, helping you and assisting you with your essays, with your statement of purpose, guiding you through the entire visa assistance. Of course, we would be also helping you with your on-campus and off-campus accommodation before you book in and before you fly or before your departure from the country. And we would also be helping you in applying and assisting you for the scholarships. So that is something which we would be again helping you with, which will be a part of our services. And of course, the pre-departure section before you fly or before you departure from the country where you are. And something which I would like to talk about Canada is this is something which is new. So CIC has mentioned as per in their website, there are so students starting their online classes for the May or June intake students. So usually, since if they start their online classes, they would be eligible for their post-study work permit as well. So that is something which I would like to update you, which is something for specifically for Canada. So thank you for being with me, and I would like to, of course, thank you everyone for being in the session. And I would also would like to know if you, in case if you would like to reach out to us, you can contact us in the mentioned number, and of course through our website. So thank you so much. So now I'll be handing over the session to Ms. Chantil from Brock University. Thank you.
Okay, so hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm going to share my screen just so you guys can see the presentation. Okay. All right, so. All right, so once again, thank you for joining the Brock University presentation today. Thank you, Intelligent Partners, for co-hosting this with us. If you are interested in applying to Brock, we are still taking applications for our undergrad programs for September. So you're still able to apply. Intelligent Partners will have a waiver code, so they can also assist you with that application process to Brock. So I know there's some questions that have come through already. So I think some of the questions are probably going to get answered during the presentation as well. So what we'll do is we'll go through the slides and then we can address the questions at the end through the Q&A session. So today you're going to learn a little bit more about what Brock University has to offer. We're going to look at the residence options, scholarships. We'll look at the Brock portal, important deadlines, and of course, highlight the student experience. So my name is Chantel, and I'm an international recruitment officer for Brock University. I've been working for Brock now for almost 3 years. I was visiting Dubai. I was there in end of February, early March. So I did visit the Intelligent Partners office. Some of you might have met with me in the past, or maybe we've communicated via email. So if you do have questions with regards to your application, you can always reach out to me directly as well. So before I get into the Brock presentation, I'm going to actually have one of our international student ambassadors share a little bit about his personal experience. So Amar is one of our student ambassadors from Sri Lanka, and he's going to share with you his experience choosing Canada as a destination, as well as choosing Brock. So Amar, if you want to jump in, I'll put myself on mute and you can share a little bit about your experience.
Sure, perfect. I think y'all can hear me. Is it clear? Okay, perfect. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Amar. I'm an international ambassador from Sri Lanka. I was born and brought up in Saudi Arabia. I have been to Dubai, UAE a couple of times. First off, I'm very honored and privileged to be given this opportunity to share my experience to all you amazing people. It's my pleasure to meet Ranjana, and thank you, Chantel and Market Intelligence for giving me this opportunity. And also for the students who have been admitted to this prestigious university, I want to congratulate you from the bottom of my heart. So to start off a little about myself, I am a transfer student from Sri Lanka. And right now I am a second-year business economics student specializing in finance here in Brock University. So one of the main reasons as to why I accepted Brock was Brock accepted most of my transfer credits. And I'm sure most of you can relate. They replied to you in the quickest time possible, and Brock welcomed me with open hands. So my experiences so far in Brock, they have been amazing. It all felt like a dream come true. Brock made me feel nothing less than home. And Brock is one of Canada's top post-secondary institutions located in the heart of Niagara. So to all of you who love nature, who love being in a place that has a perfect mix of like buildings and sceneries, Brock is definitely the place to be. Also, we are ranked 3rd in student satisfaction in Canada. A lot of people will say that Brock is more than a school. it is a very diverse community. Brock caters to all different cultures and ethnicities. Like we have several clubs on campus. We have, like, for example, we have the Sri Lankan Student Association, which I'm the president of that. We have the Pakistani Student Association, Indian Student Association, Muslim Student Association, Christianity Student Association. So these are student-run organizations at Brock University that promote culture, cuisine, a way of life along with different cultures at Brock University. And also to note that Brock facilitates all ethnicities, all religious beliefs. So we have like a meditation room for people who are worried about that. We have a meditation room, we have a prayer room. Also, another important factor about the university, as per my experience, is that we have amazing scholarships for international students, as Chantel is going to mention in the upcoming presentation. And for those of you who have been admitted to the co-op program or would like to join, to be completely honest, I was amazed by our co-op program, the co-op program Brock offers, because what co-op program does is it's a program designed at Brock that gives you the opportunity to apply what you learn in the classroom to like real world situations. So basically you get to like work and study hand in hand. And another interesting factor like I want to stress upon today are the classroom sizes at Brock University. This is something that scared me when I first thought about universities, like about how big the classrooms are going to be, like if whether I can ask my questions, if I can be seen by the professor. It sounded very intimidating at first, to be honest, but when I realized when coming to Brock was that all the classrooms are designed to be like mid-sized or rather small. So it reminded me of my high school days, because what the small class sizes allow you, they kind of allow you to speak out more often. And many students feel very comfortable, like even I do feel very comfortable raising my hand to share like my opinion and to ask the professor any question. And it is small enough so that the professor remembers your name. I'm also involved in a lot of sports here at Brock. We have a fully equipped gym with gym trainers. We have a football field, basketball courts, badminton, ping pong, volleyball, etc. You name it, we have it. And so I think I'm gonna allow Chantel to go ahead with the presentation. But before I end this, I just want to say that I am very glad to have joined Brock, and my experience has been phenomenal, and I cannot wait to welcome you guys to Brock.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Amar. So Amar will stick around for the Q&A session at the end. So in case you guys have specific questions you want to ask Amar regarding the student experience, getting involved on campus, what that transition looks like into Canadian studies, he's going to stay on the call so we can make sure to address those questions as a group. All right, so let's get started. So if you've already applied to Brock, that's very exciting. If you are still in the process of deciding, where you want to study, these are some important highlights about why international students choose Brock as their destination. So the first has to do with safety. Safety is a really big part of the Brock community and living in Niagara. We are actually one of the safest regions in Canada. Even on our campus, we do have a campus security team, so students can have that peace of mind they need while they're studying. We also offer affordable living. So that's something that I know our international students really appreciate when they're looking to budget for their studies. So we are located in the city of St. Catharines, which is an hour away from Toronto. So the closer you get to a bigger city such as Toronto or Vancouver, the higher it's going to be for rent. So living in Niagara, it is very affordable, and we are about 67% less expensive than living in Toronto. So you'll be able to find affordable living options very close to our campus. We do also offer personalized international student support. So if you needed any assistance with your academics, social programming, this is all done through our office. So we actually have a dedicated international student support team that are helping our international students transition into Canadian studies. So throughout the year, they're constantly running workshops, one-on-one appointments as well. Right now, our spring and summer courses are being done online due to COVID-19. So our team has really adjusted quickly to make sure they're supporting our international students who are currently taking courses with us online. So they actually have a dedicated staff member in our office that's checking in with them every week to make sure that they are fully adjusting to these courses. In addition to that, we're going to go through our programs today, but you're going to notice that we do have career-driven programming. So some unique programs to Brock include game design, public health. We're the only university in Canada to offer a Bachelor of Sport Management. And as Amar mentioned, we do have an excellent co-op program. So co-op is looking at paid work experience with your degree. So it's integrated with your studies, and usually co-op starts going into third year. So we will look at an example of a co-op schedule, but it's looking at paid work experience with your degree. In addition to that, 100% of our undergrad programs are offered with some form of experiential learning, which means that you're getting experience outside of the classroom. So it's all about that hands-on experience in order to prepare our students for a career. And we do enjoy one of the highest employment rates in Canada, with just over 96% of our students finding work after receiving their degree. All right, so Brock University is considered a mid-sized university. We are one of 22 universities within the province of Ontario. So we are mid-sized. We're large enough that students have the opportunity to get involved in research at the undergrad level. You'll see that we have beautiful facilities on campus, lots of ways to get involved, but we're small enough that our professors still get to know our students by name. And as Amar mentioned, that's something that we really do value in our Brock community. We have over 70 undergrad programs, which we will look at. So if you've already applied to Brock, that's great. If you're in the process of deciding what you want to study, we can look at that together. So we will look at the program shortly, but before we get into the programming, I just wanted to show you a map so you can have a little bit more perspective of where we're located. So we are in the city of St. Catharines, which is 20 minutes away from the beautiful Niagara Falls. We are also just over an hour from Toronto, so still very close to the big city, and 30 minutes away from Buffalo in the US. So it is very easy to get around. If you wanted to go to Toronto on the weekend to go see a Raptors game, you can do that. But even within St. Catharines, there's lots to do with entertainment as well. So the campus itself is actually located on top of the Niagara Escarpment. So it's a very green campus, as you can see. We have a very famous hiking trail on our campus called the Bruce Trail. So all of our academic buildings and residences are located right here on the main campus. So at first glance, it does look quite large, but it's really not that big. It takes about 10 minutes to walk from one side of the campus to the other. So we do have a virtual tour option available on the Brock website. So I would encourage you to check out the virtual tour so you can see more of the campus from the comfort of your own home. Right now, what we're also doing is we have a virtual open house that's taking place online. So if you go to the Brock website, on the first page, you're going to see a link to the virtual open house. That is going to allow you to review all the programs being offered at Brock. There's videos, student testimonials. So I think that's a really good resource if you're wanting to get some more insight into the programming at Brock. So just to show you our programs being offered. So we do have our undergrad programs as well as graduate level programs. At the undergrad side, we have over 70 programs to select from. We do have 3 intakes. So we have fall, winter, and spring. Spring has just started for May students. That's our smallest intake. Fall, of course, would be the biggest intake. And then we are seeing an increase in students looking to start in January. So as of now, our application for September is still open. So we will continue to keep it open until the program is full. So if you haven't applied yet, you can still do so. If you're looking to start with us in January, that application should open up shortly. Last year it opened in June, so keep your eyes open for that. Intelligent Partners can also assist you if you are looking to apply to Brock. So with the programs, we have anything from health sciences to education to business, humanities. We even have a fine arts building that's located 10 minutes away from our main campus in downtown St. Catharines. So if you're studying dramatic arts, music, or visual arts, you actually have a separate campus just for you. Majority of these programs are still taking applications for September, especially within the sciences and business. anything with a blue box beside the program indicates that that program is offered with co-op. So you'll be able to get that paid work experience with your degree. If you are interested in co-op, at the time of your application, make sure you are clicking the co-op box. That way you will be considered for a co-op stream. So you will know coming into the university if you have been given a spot in our co-op program. So business is popular, accounting is popular. We do have a beautiful new Goodman School of Business facility for our students. With mathematics and science, you'll notice a lot of co-op streams being offered, especially within computer science. So that's something that I know our students really do value, is getting that work experience with your degree. Faculty of Social Sciences, in here you'll find anything from psychology to tourism to business economics, business communication. With the psychology, we're one of the only universities in Canada to offer co-op with our psychology program. Our tourism studies is also really popular, being that we are so close to Niagara Falls. The tourism industry is really large for us, and it's also looking at sustainability methods within tourism. Business communication, this program I like to highlight because I always get students asking about business, but maybe they do not take math in their final year of study, or they don't like math. They may want to consider applying for business communications because it's more focused on the social aspects of business, so marketing and management, but they would not have to worry about the finance side. And then in addition to that, we do have our graduate level program. So if anyone is looking to do a grad program at Brock, you'll notice that we have various programs. The international student programs at the top, that's in red, those are course-based programs for international students. So I would encourage you to consider those programs at the graduate level. We do have our MBA, we have our Master of Accounting, Applied Linguistics, Master of Education, Material Physics, and then all the other programs under there at the graduate level are research focused. So if you are interested in applying to any of those programs, they are smaller programs, so they're more competitive to get into, but it's always good to reach out directly to the faculty just to make sure that you are showing an interest in the program and what your research is going to be focused on if you pursue that program. Okay, so I won't get into all the programs because it'll take a very long time, but what I would encourage you to do is check out the Brock website for more information about each individual program, as well as checking out the virtual open house that we have going on right now. Okay, so here are some of our facilities that we have. As you can see that there has actually been a lot of expansion on our campus. So as I mentioned, the Marilyn I. Walker School of Fine and Performing Arts, this one is located in downtown St. Catharines, 10 minutes away from the main campus. So it's right in the heart of the city, close to all the action. There's a beautiful theater space as well. Our Goodman School of Business was done fairly recently in 2019. So if you are doing business, accounting courses, you'll be able to take your courses in this great facility with financial research labs and study space. We're also doing more expanding on our campus. So we recently started up the construction again. It was on pause for a little bit because of COVID-19, but now we're back to construction, which is good to see. So the zone is the fitness center that's currently being expanded. So if you like to work out, you'll have a brand new facility that's going to be built. We also are hosting the Canada Summer Games in 2021. And we're also planning to work on a new residence. So a new residence is being built, and that's supposed to be done by 2021 as well. So lots happening on our campus. If you check out the virtual tour option, you can also check out some of these facilities. So we've talked a bit about co-op, but I just wanted to highlight a couple more items if you are looking at the co-op stream. So once again, it's paid work experience. So you'd make anywhere between $18 to $23 on average per hour. Right now, minimum wage in Ontario is $14. So it is well above minimum wage you would be making. So by the time you graduate from Brock, if you do co-op, you'll have at least 12 months work experience already completed. So usually that's 3 different co-op placements you would have done during your time at Brock. Okay, so that's a really good opportunity to get connected with employers. We do see our students, also getting hired by these companies upon graduation. So it is important to look at your options if you are looking at a co-op stream. Just to show you an example of a co-op schedule at Brock, as you can see, this shows you just a template. So it depends on the program. Each program is a little bit different. But in this case, you'll see your first 2 years are strictly focused on your academics, and then going into third year, you've got your first work term during the fall term. So during those 4 months, you're working full-time for a company, and then it's on a rotational basis. So back to school in the winter, and then back to the co-op in the spring and summer. So it does depend on the program, but this just gives you an idea of what that co-op looks like with the 12 months of work experience integrated within your studies. So if you've already applied to Brock, that's very exciting. We do have residence options available. So if you are applying directly from high school, you are guaranteed a spot in residence as long as you apply before June 1st. So really important, if you are planning to come to Brock, that you make sure you are filling out your residence application. When you go on to review the residence application, I always encourage students to check out the buildings on our website ahead of time. So there's different styles that you can apply for. The first is the traditional style, which is a mix of single and double rooms. And then you would have a communal bathroom for the floor. Meal plans are required. The semi-suite style would be looking at a bedroom that you would have and then a shared bathroom with one other person. So it's a little bit more private in that sense. And then the townhouse style would allow you to have a full kitchen available. So if you like to cook, I always encourage students to apply for the townhouse style because it's going to give you the kitchen that you want. And then you're also living with other people. So usually around 4 to 5 people per townhouse. So make sure if you are interested in residence that you complete that application prior to June 1st. There is a deposit fee of $600 you have to pay as well. So you can actually apply for residence directly through your Brock portal. We will be looking at the portal, so don't worry, we'll go through that process together, but intelligent partners can also assist you throughout the way. So if you are looking at other options, if you don't want to stay in residence, we do offer off-campus living. So off-campus living, lots of affordable options very close to the campus, starting at around $450 Canadian a month. We also have a homestay program. Our homestay program is meant for any students who are studying ESL at Brock. And the homestay program is actually coordinated through our office. So I've talked a little bit about this virtual tour a couple times. So we'll make sure to send this link along to everyone after the presentation today. So you can go on, check out the campus. Scholarships. So as Amar mentioned, we are offering a lot of competitive scholarships to international students. So some of these scholarships are automatic and others you can apply for. So we'll look at the automatic scholarships first. So if you've applied to Brock, the Brock Scholars Award, if you get a letter of admission, if you receive the offer letter, this will be outlined in your offer letter if you received it. So Brock Scholars is looking at students applying directly from high school. If you have an average of at least an A-, you will be guaranteed $4,000 Canadian. So that would be split between your 4 years at Brock. So it's $1,000 each year. The higher your average, the more you'll get for the entrance scholarship. So you can get up to $16,000 coming into Brock. So that's really great to see. We will look at your final grades to determine the exact amount. But once again, if you've applied to Brock, you automatically will get considered for the scholarship, and it would be outlined in your letter of admission. Other scholarships that we have that are guaranteed, the Emerging Market Entrance Award. So this one's actually in line with the Brock Scholars. So if you are a citizen of any of the countries listed in that chart, including Bangladesh, Pakistan, Ukraine, Ecuador, that's an additional scholarship based off of your citizenship. So for example, let's say you have a high average of an A+, you'll get $4,000 coming into first year from the Brock Scholars, plus an additional $4,000 if you are a citizen of Pakistan. So that gives you $8,000 coming into first year automatically. So the Emerging Market Scholarship will be communicated to you directly through email, just to let you know that you have been granted it. The International Curriculum Award is another automatic scholarship based off of students who are completing IB, AP, or A-level. Once again, offered in your letter of acceptance. So those are automatic scholarships. You can apply for additional scholarships through something called the One App. The One App is one application you fill out through your Brock portal. The university will match you with scholarship opportunities. So the deadline for that was May 1st. You are still able to submit it if you haven't already done so. And the One App is something that you can also apply for throughout your 4 years at Brock. So even going into your upper years, you can fill out the One App to be considered for scholarships. Our largest scholarship we have offered is actually the International Student Ambassador Award, which is one of the scholarships that Amar was granted this year. So this scholarship is given to around 10 to 15 international students every year. We're looking for students who are engaged within the school community, they've got good grades. There's a separate application you have to fill out that also includes a recording, so video. You have to explain why you want to become an ambassador. If you are selected for the Ambassador Award, you will pay Canadian tuition fees for that year. So you save up to $20,000 off of your tuition. So keep that in mind. The deadline has passed for this year. It was April 1st, but this is a scholarship you can apply for even once you get to Brock, so going into your upper years. Okay, so we'll get through. I want to make sure we do have enough time for the Q&A. This here is just giving you a breakdown of your fees in the international tuition fee rate. So if you're a Canadian citizen, these fees will be different. So our tuition fees are pretty on par with other Ontario universities. So looking at around 27,000 Canadian dollars. And then hopefully with some of the scholarships that we mentioned today, it will reduce your fees as well. So if you've already applied to Brock, that's great. If you haven't done so already, I just wanted to highlight our English requirements. So if English is not your first language, you will have to prove proficiency. Usually this is done by submitting a successful score on an English proficiency test. So the IELTS or the TOEFL. So IELTS, we look for 6.5, no band below 6. So you will need this in order to get a direct offer into Brock. We have recently announced that we are also taking online English proficiency test options. So you can complete the TOEFL at home edition test. You can also complete Duolingo, which will be accepted for fall 2020 and winter 2021. So hopefully this gives you a little bit more flexibility to be able to take the test from the comfort of your own home. We have extended the deadline for submitting an English proficiency test to August 1st. So you've got time if you haven't already done so. If something happens, you are not able to pass the English proficiency test, we do have an ESL program at Brock. It's called the Intensive English Language Program. So depending on your English proficiency level, that would determine how much ESL you have to complete at Brock. We are also offering an 8-week accelerated English language program over the summer. This is meant for any students who have applied to Brock and have an IELTS score of 6 or equivalent. If you prefer to do the ESL program online as opposed to writing the English proficiency test again, this is an option available for you. So we have communicated this out to current applicants if they're in this situation. So this would be online, and it's an 8-week ESL program. Okay, so the Brock portal is a really important resource that we're going to look at. So if you apply to Brock, that's great. The Brock portal is where you're going to go on to upload your documents. So I noticed there was a student that was asking about the status of their application. If you log into your Brock portal, you'll be able to see what the decision is. If you've been admitted, if you're missing documents, everything gets communicated directly through the Brock portal. So the Brock portal is actually where you go to upload your transcripts and your English proficiency test. Once all the documents have been uploaded, the admissions team gets notified, and then they will be able to consider you for admission. So once documents have been submitted, it takes around 2 to 3 weeks to hear back from the admissions team to see if you have been granted an offer. We do have our course registration that's going to open up in June for students who are beginning studies with us in September. So if you have applied to Brock and you're planning to accept the offer, we do encourage students to accept and pay their tuition deposit prior to June so that they can have access to the course registration. So that's really important. The tuition deposit is $1,000 that you would pay, and then once you pay that deposit, you'll be able to access the course registration. And that deposit fee also ensures that you have been granted your spot in the program. So it saves the spot in your program for you. Okay, so a couple more items. We're getting close to the end of the presentation. I just have about 2 more slides left. So in our office, we do offer international student support through an advising team. So if you have questions regarding immigration and study permits, once you begin your studies at Brock, you'll be able to meet with an advisor in our office. As I mentioned, we are helping our international students adjust to Canadian teaching and learning styles. So you'll have this support available for you throughout the year at Brock. So if you needed to attend a one-on-one appointment or a workshop, you'll be able to do so. So these are all things that are offered through our office, and I think it's something that our international students also really appreciate to make sure that they are having a full support system available. International student orientation. So this is always taking place the first week of school. So we do a big orientation for international students to help them adjust, but also to get them connected with other students. You'll get to participate in a campus tour. So a lot is happening there. So before I end, I do want to just address COVID-19 because I'm sure it's going to come up. So as of now, we are still planning. For sure, we will have a fall semester. We have not been told yet what the fall semester looks like, whether it's going to be online, if it's going to be in person, or if it's going to be blended. So these decisions will be made hopefully in the coming weeks. It's going to be up to, following the public health advice through the government. So we will keep our students informed. As I mentioned right now, spring and summer courses are currently being done online, but we have not made a decision yet regarding what the fall term will look like just yet. Okay, so I guess we can end here. I know that there's been questions coming through, so I think it's good that we can address the questions together as a group. All right. So I will look at the questions and we can address them together. So the first is regarding a student's application to Brock, and they have not yet received their offer letter. So I will definitely look at your application after today to see what the status is. As I mentioned, if you go onto your Brock portal, it will communicate to you if you've been granted a letter of admission. It'll also show you if we're missing any documents. So that's something I would encourage you to check as well. I'm sure Intelligent Partners can assist you with that. Not to worry, we are still taking applications for September. The other question is regarding to a preparatory program. So we do not have like a foundation year available for students because students that are applying directly from high school can get direct entry into Brock. So that's something that we do encourage students apply directly. If it's something with regards to maybe a course that you haven't taken yet, maybe you're missing a course, you can look at taking online courses through virtual high school. So there are options there. It would really depend on what your education background looks like. So I'm sure Intelligent Partners can also assist you there, just to make sure we have everything we need with your education background. So questions regarding internships, co-op, yes. So I think we've addressed this already, but there are some programs that do have co-op within health sciences. You'll see there's a lot more co-op streams within the mathematics and science stream, but it really depends on the program you've applied to. But even if it's not a co-op stream, as I mentioned, you will have some form of experiential learning, whether it's through an internship, maybe you're also doing a field placement. So there are ways that you're going to get that experience outside the classroom. Next question is, will the university take online classes till January? So as I mentioned, we don't have any decisions yet for what the fall semester looks like, but we will make sure to keep you informed. We are going to follow public health policy to see what the final decision is. We'll make sure to communicate that directly with you. So no decision yet in terms of what the courses will look like, whether it's online or in person. Okay, so it says here, I've mailed my campus ID to Brock University. So we'll have to look at your application after the presentation today, just to see what the current status is. You would have received a campus ID if you applied to Brock, or the agent, Intelligent Partners, might have received that email as well. So we'll definitely check your application to make sure we have an update of the current status. Yeah, absolutely. So we are happy to share the presentation after today. I know that there's a recording of it too, so we can make sure that you have access to that if you want to go back and review some of the information. Yes, that's no problem. So master's degree, so there is asking about what the age limit is for entry. So it really depends on how much of a gap you have within your studies. It might cause some issues when you go to apply for a study permit. So one thing to consider with the master programs is that there's different programs, as I mentioned. Some of them are course-based, others are going to be research-based. So some of the programs are more competitive than others. If you are looking to apply to a master's degree, it's always important to reach out directly to the faculty member to make sure that you are getting those questions answered. They need to see what education you have and to see if you're on the right path towards that master's degree. So please elaborate on your second campus more. So yes, so the second campus I mentioned today, Marilyn I. Walker School of Fine and Performing Arts. So that campus is only for students who are doing fine arts, so dramatic arts, music, or visual arts. If you have applied to one of those programs, you will take your courses in downtown St. Catharines. So it's 10 minutes away from the main campus. The reason we have it as a separate campus is because we really wanted to integrate our fine arts students into the community. Being so close to the theater downtown, those are things that we really do invest in our fine arts students. So if you're not taking those courses, you won't be in any of those buildings, but it really depends on what program you've applied to.
Okay, I think we have a question from Aisha.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, so she's asking, is it possible to apply based on IGCSE grade? And if so, what threshold do we need?
Yep, so we'll have to see what the students currently completed within their grades. So we do need students to complete their A-level courses or AS level courses. If they've only done O-levels, that's when there's issues, but we do need to have them either complete the A-levels or AS level courses. And with the grade requirements, we do usually look at around a C average.
Okay. We also have Ibrahim raising his hand, so let's allow him to talk, probably.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes, Ibrahim.
Hello. Hello, Chantal. I think we have already met before, and we were talking about how IB students get admitted to Brock, and I've already received my offer letter, but I have a question. So before I applied with my predict, but recently I got a new predict with a better grade. So what if I can apply with it, and will I be able to get a better scholarship accordingly, or no?
Yeah, no, it's an excellent question. So if you have updated predicted grades, you can definitely send them in to the admissions team just to make sure everything's up to date on our end. So if you want to send those in, you'll have to send them to futurestudent@brocky.ca. The final grades, though, is what we're going to look at for the determination of the scholarship. So we'll look at those to determine the exact amount that you'll receive. The IB one is the IB diploma. If that's been completed, there's a $1,000 scholarship. And then in addition to that, you'll be considered for the Brock Scholars. So for the Brock Scholars, they are going to be looking at the final grades, though.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for connecting.
Okay, so we have some more questions in here.
Sure.
Marwan asks, if I apply for the January slot, will I still be guaranteed a spot in the campus residency?
So with the January, it's not 100% guaranteed, but I know that there are spots for January, so students can still apply. Yeah, it's not 100% guarantee, but they can still apply for January. From what we see, it really depends on the intake and how many students are coming in, how many beds are available. I know that most students have been fine with getting into residence. So if you're looking to start in January, you won't fill out your application yet for residence. Usually that opens up a little bit later for our January students. But yes, you can still apply for residence.
Okay, fine. I think Mr. Arnav is asking that his son is willing to do an undergraduate in allied health science, but he hasn't taken math as a subject. So is a requirement. So do you think you'll be able to bridge this deficiency?
Okay, so good question. So what happens is there's a couple, it depends what program the student's looking at. Most of our programs do require math. So depending on which program the student's looking at within the health science stream, that will determine what they receive admission for. So I know our public health does not require the math, so students can be considered for that program directly. Another option is if a student is planning to apply to Brock for a science-related program, they can also apply for general science in their first year. If they're missing a senior level math, they can also take it during their first year at Brock. So that would allow them to transfer over into another related program after their first year. So there are ways to bridge that gap. So let's say they've applied to Brock, they meet our general requirements for admission. If they get their letter of acceptance, that's great. And then if they plan to switch the program once they start at Brock, that is an option.
Okay, right.
So yes, yep.
Do you have any academic support for dyslexic students?
Yeah, so in those cases, we are able to get the student connected directly with our services available ahead of time. So in those cases, I always tell the student, just reach out to me directly. I can get you the support you need through our office. We do have our international student success team that also is in coordination as well through those departments. So yeah, that's no problem. Just bring it to our attention ahead of time so we can make sure that before you get to Brock, that conversation has already started, so you know what support is available.
Okay. So someone here says, Mr. Shakir says, he's 33 years old and he's from Uzbekistan, and he's currently not completed his IELTS.
Okay. So sorry, this is here. I see a couple things. Is it the one that has not done IELTS? Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So an IELTS is required for our any program, including graduate studies. Now, what I would encourage, because you are looking at a Goodman School of Business program, we do actually offer a free pre-assessment for that program. So if you are looking to apply for the MBA or Master of Accounting, what happens is we do have the free pre-assessment available through Goodman School of Business. So that takes about 3 to 5 business days to hear back. So if you have your transcripts available, you can actually complete the free pre-assessment. That would determine if you're even eligible to apply to the program. So in that case, I would say that is your best option. And you can find that directly on the Brock website if you go to our Goodman grad programs.
Okay.
But the IELTS will be required, yes, to get direct entry. Yep.
Aditya here says that his IELTS is 6.5, but one of his bands is 5.5. So will that be okay?
So we do need to see that each band is at least a 6. So in that case, it would be best to write another English proficiency test. As I mentioned, you've got lots of time. We have extended the deadline till August 1st. If you don't want to write the IELTS, if you want to try another test such as Duolingo or TOEFL, whatever you'd like, you do have time. But we will need to see that each band is at least a 6 in order to get that direct entry.
Okay. And how can he apply for Goodman Business School?
Yeah, so if it's a graduate program, it's through OUAC. There's a separate OUAC application for grad programs. But before even applying, I would just encourage the student to do the free pre-assessment.
Okay.
Okay.
Where can I directly contact your head of the soccer team, as I would like to apply for a sports scholarship?
Yeah, it's a good question. So if you're looking to apply for a varsity sport, you can actually contact the coaches directly. If you go on to the Brock Athletics page through our Brock website, you'll be able to find a list of all the coaches. So in that case, if you go directly onto our website, you can reach out to the coach and let them know you're interested in signing up for a varsity sport. In addition to that, with regards to the sports scholarship. So sports scholarships are not as common in Canada as they are in the US. So if there is a scholarship for sports, it's very rare. And if there is one, it's usually a small amount, maybe $2,000 or $3,000 tops. So that would be up to the coach. They would let you know if there is any scholarships available.
Okay. So Ibrahim says that you mentioned before that the one app application deadline has already passed, but we can still submit it. Does that mean that our application will be still considered, or will be considered depending on the available scholarship money?
No, it's a good question. So unfortunately, the deadline passed. It was May 1st. So that deadline is in place in order to be considered for all scholarships. So in that case, if you're submitting it late, you're going to have fewer scholarships to be considered for. So it doesn't hurt to still apply. I always encourage students to still do it. But unfortunately, you won't be able to be considered for all of the scholarships through the one app.
Okay. Also, is there public transport that would allow them to move from campus to Toronto directly?
Yes. So if you're looking at, internally to St. Catharines and Niagara, we do have a bus system in place. So it's easy to get around the area. If you're planning to go to Toronto, we do have buses that also leave directly from St. Catharines. You can also access it through the university. And it takes around an hour, hour and a half to get to Toronto with the bus system. So we do have something called Mega Bus to take students directly to Toronto. So if you're planning to go up for the weekend, that's great. Now, there's no way to commute from Toronto to Brock, like if you're planning to study with us. This is just looking like if you're going to visit Toronto on the weekend. But yes, it is very easy to get around.
Okay. And also, is there any public transport which will allow us to meet our friends in other universities?
Yeah, so it depends where your friends are studying. So if they're studying close by, definitely it's easy to get around. If they're, maybe they're at McMaster in Hamilton, that's not too far, or if they're studying at Niagara College, which is right down the road. So it really depends where they are. Ontario is large, right? So depending where they're located, it may be harder to get there. So sometimes students, if they have a friend or family member that has a car, it's a little bit easier to get around if they're going to a school that's further away. So it really depends where they're studying, but we do see students visiting their friends on the weekend, so it is feasible.
Okay. Also, Chris has asked us, want to know if Africans whose language is majorly English will also write the English proficiency test?
So is the school is taught in English? Is that the question?
I mean, I think their second language that they use usually is English. And
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the cases where, if you were in an English curriculum, you can apply for a waiver form. So we do have a waiver form, which is meant for students who have been studying English for at least 3 years.
Okay.
So if you are in that situation where you think you should be waived from having to submit an English proficiency test, you can fill out the waiver form and then you'll be considered for a waiver. So it's not guaranteed, but if you believe you should be waived, you can fill out this form.
Okay. And how many years of undergraduate study for Goodman School of Business?
So 4 years is our undergrad program. If a student is doing co-op, it usually extends it to about 4.5 to 5 years, depending on their schedule.
Okay. So I think we have answered all the questions. If we might just give them a minute or two if they want to type in any other questions.
Sure. Yeah, that's great to see.
Okay, so we have one here. Can I use my first language, Russian?
I'm not too sure what the question is referring to, if it's regards to transcripts or like the waiver. So with the waiver, if your first language is Russian, but you've also been, practicing English or you've been in an English curriculum, that's when students usually fill out the waiver form. So it's all case by case for the waiver form to be completed.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so the question is about transfer credits in this case. So transfer credits students are eligible for. So depending on your academic background and what you've been completed, yes, you will be considered for transfer credits at the time of your application. So I don't know what your education background is, but that's something that the admissions team definitely looks at after a student applies to Brock.
Okay. Also, will there be an extra fee for using the new facility named The Zone?
So the zone is included in your fees, in your breakdown of your tuition fees and ancillary fees.
Okay.
The only time that there's like extra fees associated within athletics is usually when the student is if they're planning to maybe purchase classes in addition to the facility itself. That's a good question. Yeah. The other question is meal plans. So meal plans are required if you're living in residence. If you're living off campus, it's not required. So if you are a student who's applied to residence, I can tell you it will be required as part of your plan. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Amar? I just realized, I'm answering a lot of them related, but if anyone has questions about the student experience, Amar can definitely jump in as well.
So also these students would be eligible for the application fee waivers, right?
Yep. So that's at the undergrad level. Unfortunately, we don't have that for master programs. It's a totally separate department that does that. But yes, if you are looking to apply for an undergrad program, you will be able to apply with the waiver. So Intelligent Partners can assist you with that. So we are still taking applications for the fall, and then our January application will be opening up soon.
Right. Okay.
Okay, good. It's good to see. I think, so a question here regarding the social club. What is the one that's most signed up for at Brock? So it really depends. There's lots of, as Amar talked about, there's tons of clubs that you can look to join. So it depends on what your interests are. So during the first week, we also have like a big a big club fair that you can look to partake if you're looking to join a club or intramurals. So it really depends on your interest, but there's lots of options available on our campus.
Okay. If someone has already applied for the application fee waiver, they wouldn't be able to get a refund, right?
No, there's no refunds on that. If they've applied without the waiver, no, unfortunately not.
Okay. Also, can they work after they're studying or during
Yeah.
the time when they're studying at Brock?
Good question. So they can definitely work during their time as a student, up to 20 hours per week part-time. So that would allow them, if they want to work on campus, there's lots of options, but they can also look at off-campus options. If they are here for summer breaks, they can actually work full-time hours during their summer breaks or winter break, whatever they have in place. So when they're not studying during that time, they can work full-time. And then after the fact, yes, with the 3-year post-graduation work permit that is available for universities here in Canada. So if you're planning to stay after graduation, that's another option too. But I think the fact that, you know, there are options to work as you're studying is something that a lot of international students value with Canada, giving them that exposure they need ahead of time and preparing them for careers. Okay, ooh, lots more questions coming through, I can see.
Yeah.
So the question is with regards to January session. So yes, you can still apply for the One App. It will have a different deadline. I don't know the exact deadline in place, but definitely. So if you apply for January, you'll be considered for One App as well. So management, I know there is an option for management under BBA. Don't know specifically about retail. You'd have to see what courses are available for there, but definitely within management, that is one of the concentrations. So when you apply to Brock for our business administration program, you don't actually choose your concentration until you get into your 3rd year. So there's 10 areas of concentrations, including finance, marketing, management. So you'll get exposed to different areas. And then once you get to 3rd year, you can choose which specialization you want to pursue within the BBA program.
So I think we have one question for Amar.
Sure, yeah. So it's with regards to part-time jobs. Yeah, so Amar, if you want to talk a little bit about any part-time jobs that you are aware of, or maybe, you know, from friends that have done some too. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, finally, I have a question.
Yeah, that's good.
Right. So, as for the part-time jobs, so we have a lot of part-time jobs that are available for students, both on campus and off campus. So I actually have 2 jobs. So I'm working off campus and I'm working on campus for the Brock Dining Services. We have 2 big malls situated, one in St. Catharines and another one on Niagara on the Lake. That's where international students usually work. And most of the jobs that are being offered part-time for international students are minimum wage. So you are making about $14 an hour.
Yeah, excellent. Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you, Amar. That's right, you got it. So as Amar mentioned, you can look at on campus or off campus. So it is really common for students to look to do part-time jobs, definitely. Okay, good. So I guess some questions with regards to American curriculum. Yes, of course, we will consider students that have used American curriculum. If usually it depends on the program, but around a B+ average is typically what we look for within the American curriculum requirements, depending on the program. With regards to career options with public health, so yeah, it depends what you want to do. If you want to get into research or the medical field, those are all options available for you. If you wanted to check out the website, with regards to any undergrad program, each program on the website will actually give you the admission requirements, an overview, and then a little description about career options. So you can definitely reference that as well. So I'm not able to answer the question with regards to bringing a family over, unfortunately. I only can handle questions with students and those inquiries. Yeah, so with regards to A-levels, it does depend for sure what you're looking to pursue. But as I mentioned, we usually require at least a C average, and that's also required for the scholarship. So that international curriculum scholarship that I mentioned does require a C average. Okay. Yeah, I don't have an answer to the maximum age for master programs, but as I mentioned, I think the pre-assessment option is always a good way to start. It really depends on the program you've applied to, what your education background looks like. It might be more challenging, of course, depending on the gap within your studies, but those are things that the graduate department does look at. And unfortunately, we don't have a waiver for the grad programs just because of the fact that it's done through OUAC. There's no internal application to Brock, so we can't create a waiver code. So if you are looking at undergrad, we will be able to do the waiver code, but unfortunately not for the master programs.
So is there any link directly for the pre-assessment that they have to do for these courses on the website, or how do they get it?
Yeah, so it depends which program. So Goodman School of Business, Material Physics, a lot of the international student programs will do the free pre-assessment.
Okay.
The other programs, like if you're looking at a research-based program, there is no free pre-assessment. But what you would do is you would contact the faculty member directly to let them know, you want to pursue this program. Some of those research programs are small. They only have around 15 students that get accepted every year. So they are competitive, I won't lie. So depending on which one you're looking to do, I always say just reach out directly to the faculty. I'm happy to send along the pre-assessment information as well after the presentation today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have one more question from Aisha. A-levels are required depending on what course you're taking?
So it depends. So A-level, if they've done AS levels, we can also consider them for admission. The general requirements, as I mentioned, we do look at a C average for A-level courses. So the courses themselves should be fine. Of course, there's always going to be prerequisites. So they want to make sure, if they've done a business program, that they've done their maths in their final year. Those are all things that we look at. So the prerequisites will be considered. But the general overview for average is what we usually look for is about a C average for A-level courses.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think
Good.
we're done with all the questions.
Sure. Well, if there's more, you can always direct them to me or Intelligent Partners. I'm sure we'll be able to answer them after the fact, especially if it's regards to your specific application. I'm not able to pull it up right this moment, but I'm happy to take a look after the presentation.
Yeah, and we would be contacting the students in regards to their specific questions so that, we can send them whatever they need, the presentation, any links.
Perfect.
Regarding the courses that they've asked for. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Great. I think we have one last question.
Oh, sure.
Okay, no, it's been answered.
Okay.
So my son can apply with AS grades?
Yes, they can. I don't know how many courses your son has been completed. Do you know how many he's done? Because we do require four AS level courses. Yeah, so we do require 4 to be considered. So in those cases, I don't know if your son has done any additional schooling outside of AS levels. So those are things that we'll look at as well. So if a student has done like BTech or any additional courses outside of the fact, the admissions team does look at the full picture. But with AS levels, AS grades, what we typically need is at least the 4 subjects that are completed to be considered for admission. Okay, good.
Okay. So we have one thing. I want to study IELTS online of your university.
So we do have the IELTS prep course. I don't know if that's what they're referring to, but if you're looking at like IELP, the ESL program online, maybe just to clarify that. So IELTS online, we don't have like the test, like we would have the preparation course. Okay. If you're referring to IELP, that's the ESL program that's going to be offered in the summer. So if you have an equivalent of an IELTS of 6, that would allow you to do the ESL, the 8-week ESL program online. So happy to share that information with you after the fact, if that's something you would like to study. It's going to take place in July, so. Okay.
Okay. Great then. Thank you so much, Chantel, for coming.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Giving all the information to the students.
Absolutely.
And we will always connect the students as and when we get more questions.
That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting today.
Yes.
I know there's still, I think, some questions coming through with masters. So I think the best thing to do is reach out directly to Intelligent Partners. they can coordinate this stuff through me as well. So if you're looking at a specific program, we'll make sure to get you considered. There are some programs that have January entry for master's programs as well, so you can review that directly on the Brock website.
Great, perfect. So thank you everybody for joining us today and giving us your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. Talk soon.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.